In this tutorial, we're going to show you how to use the AIA DDx to create and export required metric data in support of your AIA Chicago 2026 Decarbonization Award. When you look at the application, there are a few narrative-based questions. Then there are also some questions that actually ask you to go specifically into your decarbonization methodology. And today's tutorial will show you how to create those documents. So first of all, it is a requirement for these AIA Design Awards that you be a member, your firm be a member of the 2030 challenge, a signatory of the 2030 commitment, and that the project has been reported in the DDX, the project that you're submitting. So if you don't know how to get into the DDX, ask your AIA 2030 reporter for your firm. Here we are logged into my account for mine. So this is 2030ddx.aia.org. And this shows all of your firm's projects that have been reported. So the project that you want to submit for the Decarb Award should be on this list. We're going to pick an example one here. I'm going to take this random project. And you'll notice there are two tabs now, 2030 and COTE Top 10. I'm going to click on 2030. Because this project has been submitted for the 2030 challenge, you should already have some energy information here. Baseline EUI based on use type, target EUI, and then if you have energy modeling information, what your gross EUI is, and if you have any renewables, you'll have a net EUI that'll actually be lower than the gross. So this project is in pretty good shape. We will just do a quick audit of this to make sure that the information looks complete. It does. So I'm going to back out of this, going back to this projects line, and instead of clicking on 2030 this time, we're going to click on COTE Top 10. When you get to this, you're only going to look at 3 panels here: 0, introduction, 6, energy, and 8, resources. Now, this is the framework for design excellence, may look familiar to you. And if you were submitting this for a national COTE Top 10 award, you would have to fill all these things out. And this would be the same process you would use. So this is useful practice. For the AIA Chicago Decarb Award, we only require introduction, energy, and resources because decarbonization lives in those categories. So because this was already reported for 2030 in the DDX, a bunch of this basic information has already pulled over. You can fill in anything that's blank, like project address, completion year. Construction cost is optional, but you can put it in if you want. And then site area, again, optional. Whatever information you have, you can put in. Most of these fields that are blank are optional. More importantly, conditioned area, if you happen to know. So this project you can see is 7,000 and change retail, 23,000 residential mixed use high rise. Most likely all 24 of that is conditioned. So if you happen to know that, or if not, you can just make that as an educated guess. Put that in as conditioned area, leave the others blank. If you happen to know your occupants, so FTE would be your 8-hour daily total of people. So if this is a mixed use residential retail, that would be how many people live here plus who's in the retail store. I'm just going to guess for this particular project and say it's 80, and then how many visitors. Retail probably has a certain amount of visitors, but it's average daily occupancy of visitors, right? Let's say it's 20. Annual days of operation, 365. Annual hours, because this is residential and retail, the retail is probably 9 to 5, but residential is 24. So go with the worst case, put 24 in. Additional project information, if this project pursued LEED, WELL, LBC, any sort of certification, put that in here. And that's it. The important thing is it's going to automatically generate these benchmarks for you, including the operational carbon emissions, which is what the Decarbonization Award wants to look like. So that's good with introduction. Let's skip ahead to energy. Again, only fill out what you have. So in this green section, and you see it's pulling these benchmarks automatically, so that's good, saving you a lot of manual calculation. In this green section, use this if you have post-occupancy measured energy. So if you happen to collect some energy bills from your client to compare your energy modeling to how the project actually operated, this is where you would put it. You're going to answer questions like, did you achieve the 2030 reduction target, which was 90% in this past year from the baseline? Is the building all electric? Do you have on-site renewables? Do you have off-site renewables? If you have on-site renewables, is it net metered or gross metered? That will all support the calculations. Only answer the stuff you have information on. Now, if you happen to have post-occupancy data, this is where you'd enter it. Note, you don't have to do this. It's just helpful if you do. So you may have 6 months, 12 months of energy use, or you may have just an annual total. So if you have 12 months of energy use, and it doesn't really matter what year it is, but it should be once the building was fully occupied, you can enter that electricity and or gas by month. But if your client just gave you the annual total, don't worry about dividing it up by months. Just put it in January. Doesn't really matter because at the end, you're just looking for the total. So client said building used 1,000,000 kilowatt hours last year, put 1,000,000 kilowatt hours in January. Building used, 40 kcf of natural gas, put that there. You actually can change units between kcf and therms. If you happen to have the bills in therms, that's okay. Electricity will be in kilowatt hours though. Again, only do that if you have post-occupancy information. If you don't, you're probably going to rely on your energy model. And energy modeling is pretty important if you're studying decarbonization, unless you're only looking at embodied carbon decarbonization. So let's assume you did have an energy model. Again, enter that information here by fuel source, electricity, and or gas. If you have renewables, there's a column for renewables, one for on-site, one for off-site. Again, you don't have to parse this by month. Typical energy model reports don't parse this by month in the summary page. Just take your annual total and put it in the first month, and it'll give you your totals. I'm going to put something in here. I'm going to say it was 1,000,000 kilowatt hours for the total year. We're going to say there was no gas. I'm going to go back up here and I'm going to say we did measure this and we did better than our energy model. We only used 900,000 kilowatt hours. I am going to say this was all electric since I didn't put in natural gas. And then it's going to do all these summaries for you. It's going to give you measured electricity versus predicted if you put both those in. It will give you your gross EUI, which will be different than net if you have renewables in here. I'm going to put some renewables in here, actually, just to give a good example. So let's say we had 20,000 kilowatt hours of renewables. Okay. And then if you happen to know lighting power density, maybe you're submitting an interior only project and one of your decarbonization strategies was to reduce lighting. Put that in. If you don't have it, it's fine. Skip it. I would skip window wall ratio. Don't worry about nonconformity statement. You can click save just so you don't lose work and then move on to tab 8 resources. This is where you're going to document your embodied carbon, whether it's measured or anecdotal. So again, it's going to be pulling in your operational carbon from the energy tab, measured versus predicted. So we are already looking at a 79, almost 80% carbon reduction from benchmark just based on energy efficiency. So this project's off to a good start. Building reuse. Building reuse is a great decarbonization strategy. If you happen to reuse any of the building, it's not a new building, put that floor area in, check the check boxes for elements. If you didn't, leave it blank. If you used an embodied carbon modeling tool, whether it's a website-based tool like Build Carbon Neutral Care or C-Scale, or it's a full modeling tool like Tally or One-Click LCA, if you happen to do that study as part of this, put it in. Again, the jury is going to look at whatever you've submitted. So if you have to leave things blank, that's perfectly okay. Let's say we used Tally. It's going to ask for the version. I know with Tally, it's a complicated sequence of numbers. That's just for knowledge sharing. Whoever ran your LCA, you probably should consult with this, and they will know the answers to these questions. Did it include biogenic carbon? Did it model landscape? What was the system boundary? What was the scope? You probably know what the major structural system was. Timber is a good embodied carbon move. Enter as much information as you have. And if you did a model and it gave you a total of embodied carbon, put that total in. Make sure you do any conversions you need to, because this is kilogram CO2 equivalent per meter squared. And the 2030 challenge probably has your square footage in square foot. So you'll have to change from square foot to square metered. Your Tally report or embodied carbon report may have done that for you. Just double check it. Now, if you didn't do any calculations and you just did anecdotal strategies for reducing embodied carbon, that's okay too. Check them here and it will make a score up for you. You used wood structure. Maybe you used low carbon insulation and you used low carbon refrigerants. Okay, that's worth 37.5%. Check whatever you know and it'll do it for you. If your project submitted for LEED or other certifications, you may have EPDs or other methods of documenting embodied carbon reduction. Add whatever you have. If your project did submit for LEED, talk to the person who did the submission. Get the building product disclosure ordinance spreadsheet. That will give you how many EPDs you had. That will give you your recycled materials percentage. Look at the LEED scorecard and figure out what the construction waste diversion was, and you can put that number in here. All of that, all of these questions will come from your LEED submission. And if you don't have one, you leave this stuff blank, and that's totally fine. If you submitted for LEED or Living Building Challenge, you might have had sustainably harvested wood. You'll put that information in here as well. Again, only put in what you have. You can leave some of this stuff blank. So all of that is all you need to enter. You're going to click save, and then crucially, you're going to export a series of PDFs to upload with your decarb submission. After you click save, you're going to go to the summary tab and you're going to click download. It's going to ask you, are you submitting for an AIA COTE Top 10 award? We're not. We're submitting for AIA Chicago Decarb. So I'm just going to say no, and I'm going to click generate. I'm going to watch this. It's going to make a zip file with a bunch of PDFs for you to upload. If it takes a minute, you could click it again. Watch this quadrant. It will eventually appear. I'm going to just check my downloads to see if I missed it. There it is. Okay, COTE zip draft. I'm going to open that folder. I am going to open the zip file, and you're going to see there are 13 PDFs here. If you were submitting for a National COTE Top 10, you'd have to upload all 13. You just upload the whole zip file. For AIA Chicago Decarb, we only need 4 of these. 1, COTE project profile. 2, introduction. 8, energy. 10, resources. Take those PDFs, upload them through the website along with your narratives and your entry form, and that's it. Thank you for watching this tutorial today. If you have any questions, email Honors and Awards, and myself and the other 2 AIA Chicago COTE co-chairs are there to help support with technical information for anybody who has a challenge. Thank you for watching this today, and good luck with your award submission.